Hey, what's up everybody? I am Lizzy Murphy, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you all some very scary video games, books, and movies, considering we are 2 days away from Halloween. So these games and movies I have seen and or played before, but the books I have not read, but I have heard some really good things about them. So, but be warned that everything I am more than likely going to mention today are more for the mature audiences, because obviously they are scary, they are horror, they are very dark for this time of year, just so that you all know. And I will have links to every single game and book I am mentioning here today. So the very first category I'm going to do are video games. The first video game I'm going to mention is Paranormal Activity. Now, I have seen this mainly for the VR. Those of you who don't know, VR stands for virtual reality, and it is a headset that you can wear, and you are basically feeling like you are inside the game. If you turn your head to look around inside the game, your character will turn around. If you move your arm or you go to grab something, the game will register you moving around and moving your arms and trying to grab something, and it will feel like you were actually inside the game yourself. Now, Paranormal Activity is basically where you are inside this really creepy house, and you are trying to figure out what this little girl is saying to you. She's saying it's coming for me, she's gonna get you, and you're finding all these random cameras around the house and this creepy clown punching bag thing. It's kind of weird. And then you will finally see her, whoever her is, and you gotta figure out what is going on. The next video game I'm going to mention, like I said, for mature audiences is Until Dawn. It is a PS4 game, and it is basically all of these teens who are friends in school. They go to this cabin to just hang out for a week, and then they play a really mean joke on this girl, and she goes running off into the woods, and her twin sister chases after her, and they see this really scary being in the woods, and then they fall off the cliff, and sadly they die. Then a year later, the brother of the twins calls all of their friends back and say, hey, let's have a party to celebrate the lives of my sisters. And it's kind of weird and kind of weird, but then you start realizing that some things are kind of off, and the place is off, and then you start seeing random things, and it's like chasing you, and you feel like people are like staring at you, and you just something feels off, and it is really like a slasher hit, basically, so you know how those are. The next game I'm going to mention is Outlast. Now, Outlast is a pretty old game. I don't know what device you can play it on. I am pretty sure you can play it on an Xbox, PS4, and a PC. Could be wrong, though. Like I said, we'll have links to everything down below. But the Outlast game is basically, you are a journalist, and you go to this asylum, this abandoned asylum, mind you, and then you start seeing blood and wheelchairs, and you start hearing noises, and it's kind of weird because it's abandoned. It's supposed to be, you know, abandoned, and it's not, and it is completely weird. And then suddenly these things are chasing you, and you have to run, and you can use your camcorder that's how old the game is, camcorder, and you can turn on night vision on the camcorder to where you can see in the dark. But be careful though, because the camera will run out of battery. You have to find new batteries throughout the game. And then you gotta figure out how to survive and how to outlast the beings inside the abandoned asylum. The last one I'm going to mention is Slender-man. Now, some people may know this one because it is for computers, and then it is for PS4 and Xbox and stuff like that. But Slender-man is basically where you are inside this stupidly fenced-in huge area, like 50 football fields. That's like how big it seems. And you have to find these 8 pages left by people who were killed by the Slender-man. And each time that you find a page, the easier it is for the Slender-man to find you. And you have to go into like these buildings and like this abandoned architect zone, whatever that's called, I can't think of it. but it is really cool, and Slender-man can get you, and it is really scary. You know, on to books. Like I said, I have not read any of these books, but I have heard good things about them. First one is Another Little Piece. Now, apparently that is about this girl who, the beginning starts out with her running out of the woods covered in blood, and she doesn't know who she is, which I'm kind of intrigued by that, but also kind of like I don't know if I want to read it. The next one is The Madman's Daughter. This girl's father created these monsters with combinations of human and animal, and he created stuff. I'm getting some Spider-Man vibes here, but anyway, that sounds really cool. Kind of creepy though. The next one is This Savage Song. Now, this is basically where this girl, and she was trained to destroy monsters, to kill them, to basically, not only to kill them, to use them to her advantage, to basically control them. And this guy who believes that the monsters are good, they're not bad, who is a member of the police, I think, with the girl who uses the monsters to her advantage, finds out that he is actually a monster himself, and that's kind of cool. If I remember correctly, there's no like romance in it or anything, so but that sounds really cool. I actually want to get like all of these books. The last one is A Million Junes. It is basically like a Romeo and Juliet type of book, but there's like ghosts and paranormal and stuff like that. Like I said, I've never read these books before, but now they were on my radar because now I kind of want to read them. Okay, now on to movies. Now I have watched these, and they do test in these, like I said, mature audiences. First one is Secret Obsession. Now this one is this girl. It starts out with this girl running from this guy, and then suddenly she gets hit by a car and she goes to the ER, and then she forgets completely who she is, and then she is told that she's married, and then he comes to the hospital, and then, you know, you don't really think anything of it until later on in the movie she finds out that there's no cell service where they live, there's no computers, there's no TVs, but when she finds a secret computer of his, but then she goes on there and looks and sees that she's not actually married to him. He actually killed her husband and took his place because he was secretly obsessed with her and something like that. It's kind of creepy. The next one is How It Ends. Now, some of you may know the main guy of this movie because this guy plays in the Divergent movie series. But anyway, this movie is basically he and his fiance, they are expecting a baby, and she is off states and states away, and her dad doesn't like him. He hates him, as a matter of fact. But then for some reason they find out that basically the world just turns into like a zone of survival. For some reason all technology is down, water, food, resources are scarce, and now, but the last thing he heard from his fiance was, someone's coming in here, I'm scared. That's the last thing he heard. So now he and her dad have to go across the country to try to find her and see what's going on, because like I said, she's pregnant. So, but it is very, very scary, and they do cuss a lot in that movie. The last one I'm going to tell you all today is Fractured. Now, this one was so creepy that I couldn't go to bed for 2 hours. I watched this movie and I finished it at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I couldn't go to bed for 2 hours because it was that scary. This guy who, he has a wife and a daughter, and they are going to, I think the grandmother's house for Christmas, I think it was. I've not seen this in quite a while. Might actually watch it. But then the daughter says that she has to go to the bathroom, so they stop at like a gas station where like the construction zone is like right across the street. So the mom takes the daughter inside, and he gets like snacks for them because they have a little bit more of a road trip ahead of them. So, but then the mom brings the daughter back out to the dad, and she said, oh, I'm gonna go inside and use the bathroom now, can you watch? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. And the daughter had fake makeup stuff that she could play with, and she dropped it underneath the seat. So the dad took her out and stood on the ground, and he was trying to find it. When he found it, he turned around and she wasn't there, and he looked and she was chasing her hat because it flew off because of the wind. She was chasing it, and then, or was it a dog? She was chasing a dog. One of those, I think. One of those. Like I said, I haven't seen it in a while. But then she kind of fell into the construction zone hole. It was concrete. It was a good 10 feet, 10, 15, 20 feet. And then, but the dad saw her fall. And he ran, and then, as he's running, he trips. And he falls into the hole, of course. And then he bangs his head, and he is disoriented. And then the mom comes out, I'm guessing when he fell, and she ran over, and she saw the daughter, and she was trying to like console her because, you know, she was actually unconscious. And then the dad is still kind of out of it, but then he's like, okay, we gotta get her to the ER because she's not waking up. They go, and then, you know, they take her back. The dad talks to her. The dad talks to the doctors. The dad talks to the nurses about them, about his wife, about his daughter, this, and this. And then, of course, he leaves, goes out to the waiting room, waits like hours. And he goes to like the nurse's station, and he's like, hey, you know, my daughter was just supposed to get some x-rays. Is she doing okay? And the nurse is like, well, what's your daughter's name? And he tells her, we don't have a girl by that name here. And he's like, well, yeah, it was just a couple hours ago, this and this. Everybody was telling him that, no, your wife and daughter aren't here. So like, the entire ER staff thinks that this guy is just completely nuts because he's claiming that he has a wife and daughter here when their system says otherwise. And they go to all of these places that he's telling them that they were at, and they're not there. So then he starts taking matters into his own hands and tries to find them, and that leads to trouble. Now I kind of want to watch how it ends and play some of these games just to get into the mood, because we are 2 days away from Halloween. Yay. Oh, I cannot wait. I don't know why. I just love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, I will see you all in November. Oh my gosh. I will see you all next week. Oh my gosh. November. That is crazy that we are already in November. If you all enjoyed this video, I'll probably give you all some ideas to help you all out with, you know, getting into the mood for it being spooky and stuff like that. Hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll try it again next week. Bye guys.